Okay, we're all in here.
What's up?
What's up? What's up? Okay. Um I did not give this one my customary hold on. We're going live uh timer because usually I'll start the stream and then wait like 20 seconds before I do the little countdown thing. And I didn't do any of that today. I just kind of went live, did the countdown thing. So people are just now trickling in. But what up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to everybody who may be here already. It looks like we got a couple of people already kind of filtered in, and a few more coming. To kick off, I guess I'll talk about what we're doing here. What up, Jeff Champ? How you doing, dog? I'm doing fantastic.
Hey, same.
What's up?
I said, hey, same.
Yay, yay. What up, Tech? What up, Tech? So exactly what we're doing. I'd kind of reached out to Wick about this the other day. It was kind of just dropped there, and I was thinking about what we're doing on the channel, what we're doing as a community, what we do on live streams and stuff. And there wasn't really like a scriptural point. And what we kind of settled on was doing maybe just a weekly like Bible study, a weekly conversation about the word, really just kind of looking at the Bible for a minute. I know that's kind of weird with everything else that we do on the channel and the community, on the streams and stuff like that. It's a little out of left field maybe, but I think it's a good thing. I think it's
Right.
something that
I agree.
isn't really going on YouTube with a lot of people, and something that we can do. So let me catch these chats real quick. Uh, what up? What up, Dan? What up, Tech? What up, Jeff and Chris? Let's see. Read a great headline. Global warming is apparently meeting the ice caps, and redistribution of the weight is causing the Earth's rotation to slow down, melting the ice caps, and redistribution of the weight is causing the Earth's rotation to slow down, affecting
Right.
town.
We're
You guys,
all going to die.
that's hilarious, actually.
Everybody
As we're playing
run.
Thief Sim. Well, let me fix that. Popping in to show support. I appreciate that, Dan. I hope you've been fantastic, Dan. I haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. We've been all over and in and out, and just
Yeah, what's
busy,
up? What's
busy.
up, Dan? I seen you say what's up, Wick. I didn't say that. I didn't respond. What's up?
Yeah, yay. I'm gonna fix Twitch saying that we're playing Thief
Right. I
Simulator.
thought that was a
We're
little
not
interesting myself. It was like scriptures with Wickster, thief something. And I was
Thief
like, oh,
Simulator.
yeah.
Well, that's the game that I was playing Monday on my stream, but definitely not what we're doing here tonight.
I mean, considering the things that we've been discussing and the things that we've seen, which may or may not be revealed to other people down the road, we'll see where that goes. But I mean, like, this is fitting. I don't see how we can't do this. We would. I almost feel like we're supposed to do this. So
Yeah, no, it's well for anybody who doesn't know too, like kind of behind the scenes, like where this kind of came from. Me and Wick talk about the Bible almost daily. I would say we probably have phone calls where we talk about current events, we talk about scripture and stuff like that. Very nearly daily, not literally every day. Like I don't have an alarm that goes off every day and says, "Oh, it's time to call Wick and talk about the Bible." You know, um, but we do talk almost daily about these things. And
right,
this
and
is
the weird thing is, if it's not daily, we end up in a conversation that's like 4 or 5 hours long.
yeah,
Like, which is also kind of weird.
yeah. Um, and so the thing is, understand like this is not our offline like conversation that we have with each other. This is not gonna like really blur into that or anything like that. It's very much just I guess a second chain of thought from
Like
that
a
is the
branch
best way to
off of
put it.
it, a
Yeah,
branch off of it. I would say if we are led to move that way,
yeah,
like certain things will probably be revealed. But
Yeah.
man, some of the things we've seen, I can't. I, people would
Is
think we're crazy, bro. I ain't even gonna lie.
right, no, absolutely. Is this the end is nigh stream? No, it's not that. It ain't that. No. I mean, but it might not be. It might not be. Um, MGK has a new rap album coming out. It's a collab album with Trippy Red, but on Thursday I'll send you the first song they drop. Yeah, definitely send it. Definitely not the topic of conversation for this stream. But tomorrow night, definitely hit me up with that. You know, we on that music reaction then, like,
I
but
mean, I'm just gonna say that the MGK thing, bringing him into it, is pretty interesting,
yeah,
considering the
yeah,
scripture that I was given to start.
yep. Found out the album will be 10 songs. You talking about the MGK album? Okay,
Uh,
okay. So we on MGK tonight to start out. Okay, okay. I
right,
haven't
right.
looked. I turned my Bible where you said you wanted to kind of kick off at, but I
Yeah.
haven't
Hey, if you want
actually
to give
looked
it,
at what it was.
if you want to start it out, go get her done.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm in six, but I don't know what verse you wanted to start with.
I was just number one. Go ahead.
Let's see. All right, we got Genesis 6:1 then. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
Whoa,
And
let's stop right there because there's a lot to unpack in those two verses right there. Like,
right.
I mean, first of all, I want to know who the sons of God are. Secondly, I want to know why there's a distinction between the two. You got the sons of God and the daughters of men.
Uh-huh.
So I would like to know who those two groups of people are right off the bat.
Well, it's funny. We were having that conversation about the sons of God the other day when we were talking about is there a distinction on certain people? Are certain people set aside as sons of God? You know what I mean?
Well, Jesus is the son of God.
Yeah.
So
Jesus is the Son of God, but when we're
right,
talking about specifically sons of God, because when we talk about when we talk about angels, we're talking about sons of God. When we're talking about heavenly bodies, we're talking about sons of God. You know what I mean?
right on. Let's go to the third verse. Get her done.
Real quick, I want to highlight what Jeff said. You know what's funny? I just watched a video and it said something about God trying to reach you and he's giving you signs. Just so happened you're doing this right after I watched that video. That's
That's
actually
the
that's
type of
actually
stuff me and Alpha see every day.
yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of part of why we wanted to do this. And like I said, I do not know the direction of this stream.
We're
I
just
don't
kind of winging
know.
it.
Yeah, we don't know where this is going. We didn't talk about this. We literally it was like, "Hey, this is the idea. Do you want to do this?" Yeah. I do find it interesting. We're sitting right now between YouTube and Twitch, we're sitting at 8 people. And we've been at 8 people literally since we went live. That's insane for when I first go live. 8 people never show up immediately to a stream. Um, so kudos to you guys. I don't know. Maybe everybody just clicked on this because they were like, "What the hell is this shit?
Right.
What are we doing today?"
So now we get in verse 3, we get a distinction between the two groups, right? So it says,
Mhm,
and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man. So he's talking about the daughters of man. The spirit shall not strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his
mhm.
days shall be numbered 120 years. Now wait a minute there. Hold
So
on.
I actually have a
120
funny
years.
piece on that that I'll add after you finish what you're
But
saying. But
like
yeah.
120 years. How in the heck did these people know 2,000 years ago that we ain't living past 120 years? Can you name anybody living past 120 years right now?
Well, so the funny thing about that specific number to me is that the days of man are numbered right there at 120 years.
Mhm.
Um, if I'm not mistaken, at some point, or maybe it's just the old wives' tale, the number that's always given from like country folk and stuff. I've always heard. like 60 years is what you're given. After that, you're on borrowed time. The fun thing
No.
about 120 years, I was listening, I believe, on the radio to a conversation about Moses
Mhm.
yesterday or the day before, and they were talking about how Moses could not enter the Holy Land. Of course, we all know Moses could not enter the Holy Land because of his disobedience. Um, but the funny thing is, Moses lived 120 years. Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm almost positive. Obviously, I didn't fact check myself beforehand because I didn't realize that was coming up. How long did Moses 120 years. Yes, exactly. According to the biblical narrative, Moses lived 120 years and was 80 when he confronted Pharaoh, but there is no indication of how old he was when he went to see the Hebrews. But yeah, 120 years is biblically how long Moses lived. And I find it interesting that right there we're talking about the days of man as 120 years. Of course, Moses uh playing him with his disobedience and everything being the reason that he could not actually see the fulfillment of prophecy that he was involved with. It's just interesting, you know what I'm saying?
It is. And I mean, nobody goes past 120 years. Now, text says 122 years, 164 days. First of all, I would love to see the birth certificate, and I would love to see the proof of that. Secondly, it's still 120 years. 122 years is still
Yeah,
120 years.
yeah, I mean, we're not talking about literally, at 120 you're cut off, you can't go any further. I think in general, people, approximations, like there a handful of people can live further. Most people definitely live less, especially today. Most people live
90,
less.
98%,
Yeah.
99%.
Um,
There's like very with all of modern medicine, there is nobody that goes past that.
yeah,
Nobody.
it is funny to me though, because to your point, I think the historical narrative is, well, people used to only live like 20 to 30 years, and it's like, but biblically, if we actually trace, if we look through the generations in the Bible, that's not true.
Right.
People live
And it's not
far
just the
beyond that.
Bible. That's the
Right,
Sumerian stones. That's
right.
the Epic of Gilgamesh, the epics from ancient Egypt. Like there's documentation of people living. Yeah, it does not like before the flood was pretty much the determining like cutoff. Like it was like, okay, the flood happened, and then that's, well, we're getting into that. It actually goes next. But I just, that 122 years that you're saying right there, I'm skeptical because I don't believe it. Because
Right,
people people will lie to make this Bible not true. They will.
right,
They will
right.
lie to make it not true. So it's real hard for me to grasp that that's a fact. And I don't, I don't see it. But 122
How
years, whatever, it's still 120 years.
how do we know how they measured time back then? I mean, well, so as
What do you
far as the
mean?
Jewish calendar, we do know the Jewish calendar. It's been counting for roughly 5,000 years. Or so.
5,784 years.
Yeah. Never remember. Also, what up, Jay? Never remember Moses being disobedient. Moses was disobedient early, especially even when he was tasked by God. Moses tried to throw up every excuse not to do what he was supposed to do
Well,
that he could.
the Israelites moved into worshiping a golden calf, like,
Yeah,
and they literally, basically, my understanding of it is that they were basically, Moses wasn't giving glory to God. Like Moses was almost taking the glorification to himself, which is why he dies, and
right.
and God buries him. Actually,
Well,
God does it.
we had two though when Moses was tasked with going to Egypt, going to Pharaoh. I mean, he even tried to retort with that he could not read, he couldn't speak clearly. He brought up every excuse. Moses did not want to do what he was tasked to do from God.
Right. Well, like so the next thing we get into is we got another distinction between the two groups, the sons of God and sons of men. Speaking of what you were speaking on, moving into the Moses situation and what they were worshiping in the golden calf, which I actually think now has turned into a couple things, but that's for another time.
Mhm.
Uh, but there were giants in the earth in those days. That is a firm statement.
Right.
There were giants in the earth in those days. Does that say there were giant men in the earth
No,
in those days?
there's absolutely a distinction. That's always an interesting thing that I like to point out to people. You know, we're told first of all, a lot of new Christians are kind of steered from looking at the book of Genesis. It's like I was telling Wick one day. It's crazy to me when I look at the Bible how many answers to questions people have about their faith you can find in the book of Genesis. Really, Genesis is such a perfect foundation because if you read the book of Genesis, honestly, it takes away so many questions that you can have about so many things. Really, Genesis and Exodus have so many stories
Mhm.
that we're taught from young ages that we never really know the full story behind. And so most people I feel like skip over Genesis especially, but also Exodus.
Most people skip over the whole Old Testament. They stay in the New Testament in Psalms and Proverbs.
Right.
Most of them don't use the Old Testament at all, and you have to have both. Like literally, you've got the water and you've got the meat. You've got both. You've got to have both. You can't have just one. And I think it would actually help a lot of people if they actually just went to the back to the beginning, like we are right now, and just went back
Yeah.
to the beginning and started reading and learning some of the things that were said.
No, well, and that's one of the great things, about the distinction you just point out. Genesis 6:4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in
Mhm.
and to the daughters of men, they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. So
Now, what does that? What does that mean? What does
we
that mean? Men of
Well, well,
renown.
and that's what I'm saying. The mighty men who are well known, renowned, well known.
Mhm.
The mighty men who came of the hybrid are well known. The giants are just kind of passed over, but they're definitely distinguished. There are three categories that we're talking about. We're talking about men, four categories. Men, we're talking about the sons of God. We're
Mhm.
talking about the giants, and then we're talking about the mighty men that came from the sons of God and the daughters of men. And so you have four categories of masculine figures that are being distinguished there. And it's
Hercules.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, no, you have Hercules, and that's one interesting thing that I always try to point out to people. I'm like, you understand these mythological stories and everything came from somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
The mythology came from somewhere. Every story that has ever been told in history, regardless of the civilization, regardless of the culture that it came from, everything came from somewhere and was inspired by something. And like you just said, the men of renown, Hercules, great men doing wondrous tasks. Also, we talk about the Nephilim, and a lot of people are really ignorant to how the Nephilim fit into this situation. I'm not saying ignorant to be offensive. I'm just saying ignorant as in literally do not realize how the Nephilim, how giants fit into the spectrum of what we are talking about. The earth
Well, it's also
had
giant
giants.
animals as well. Giant
Yeah,
animals.
yeah, absolutely.
The dinosaurs, dragons, they're the same thing. Dinosaurs and dragons are the same thing. They just changed the name in the 1800s. Like literally, there were giants,
Hmm.
giant bugs, giant people, giant everything. There was giant everything. It just says giants. It
Right,
doesn't say giant people. It
right.
says giants. And
That's
one
fair.
of the things that people miss in this is that what is this about? What is this talking about? This is talking about an infiltration of your DNA. This is talking about a bloodline. Bloodlines. What is so significant in royalty?
Hmm.
What is a royalty? Royalty are men of renown. So you can people can try and spin the things however they want. It's still happening today. Because what does it say? After that, it says there were giants in the earth in those days and also after the flood,
Yeah.
before and after. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I've created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping thing, and the fowls in the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. He's going to destroy everything, all the giants, all the things that are not supposed to be, the things that are what is the thing that is so big right now that they want to do in medical world? What is the biggest thing they want to do?
Abortions?
No, they want to change DNA.
Oh,
They want to
I'm
create
sorry.
man.
I'm
They
sorry.
want to
I
create
was
man,
stuck on
right?
the controversy right there. I was like, abortions is like all I've heard
Abortion is
about
a
on
big
the
thing,
radio
right?
this week.
But what I'm talking about is not. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about massive scale. So they want to uh, create clones. They want to take your DNA and shift it and change it and manipulate it. They want you to cut your thing off. They want you to grow tits. They want to change the DNA.
Yeah.
This is being talked about in the beginning of Genesis.
Yeah.
The manipulation of DNA
Absolutely.
is in Genesis.
I like this, Chris. Yeah, absolutely. We did discuss that, and it's a valid thing. It's absolutely a valid thing. What up, Tater? What are we watching? We are watching this fellow walk through. Just for some little background ambience, we're watching this fellow walk through Jerusalem. Actually, we felt like it was a fitting little background thing so that anybody bored just watching us talk could kind of like see the Holy Land in the background.
Jerusalem
This
is such
this
a
is not how we're
beautiful
getting
place.
our
Yeah,
exercise.
Jerusalem is such a beautiful place, especially the old city, and how everything is made out of stone and built on stone, and it's not made out of wood and on sand. And it's like a giant castle. If you've ever been or seen Jerusalem or like
Yeah,
that, I watch this all the time because it's just relaxing to me. I like to see the sights. I wish I could go there, but it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful place, even though it's really dangerous.
yeah. What up?
like
What up, Nappy? To your point though, because you mentioned a second ago, it's something that's still relevant in the medical field today. It's funny. I mean, going back to the enduring relevance of the Book of Genesis, like literally, topics in Genesis stay relevant through everything, and it's just that to me, so many answers. I cannot tell you how many times I've had questions, I've had issues about the current modern world. You know what I mean? Um, that the answer is literally in Genesis. Something relevant ends up being in Genesis. And it's like, even I'll go looking for something and it's like, oh, that's in Genesis. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
Uh,
I mean, there are a lot of answers if you use okay, so religion uses the Bible in a different way than I or you, me and you, we use it in a completely different way than most other people. If you
right.
use it as a guidance, as a tool, and a communication, right? uh it changes the what the Bible is.
Yeah.
It changes the structure, which is why it's called the living word. That it literally, one day you could be given a verse, like for instance, if you took and God looked up upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh and corrupted his ways upon the earth, right? One day that verse could mean something completely different to you on a different day,
Yeah.
like than what you read it. You know what I'm saying? It's always changing, and it's always with the flow of what we're doing. Everything we do, man, it is hard to explain. I mean, literally, the things that we've been shown is amazing, and I can't even. The other day for like 4 hours, it was just completely just mind blown after being mind blown after being mind blown after being mind blown for like 4 hours straight. Like, and it just uh, you don't get that without it.
Right.
That kind of interaction doesn't happen for somebody that just reads it to read
Yeah.
it. So I mean, it's all about perception, right? Life is about perception. If
Yeah.
my perspective gets changed, right? Like, so one of the verses in the Bible talks about if you have darkness inside of you, how dark is the darkness? How evil is the evil that's inside of you, right? So that's a perception, a perspective, a relative understanding that okay, so if you are gambling all the time, right?
Right.
And like for instance, picking up hookers or whatever, right? You're gambling, picking up hookers. Your life is not going to be relaxing. Like it's you're going to be uh you're going to have anxiety, you're going to have depression, you're going to have all those things that pile onto that, right? And
Yeah.
that's where that's coming from is if you do let that stuff into your life, how dark does it get,
Yeah.
right? I think we can all agree that we've had situations where we're like, bro, I've been here. I know that person, but I don't know the name. I'm looking at you and I've been here before.
Right.
Where does that come from?
Yeah. No. I probably encounter that multiple times a week. I mean, absolutely. It's I don't know. I mean, the deja vu feeling, the deja vu where I recognize you, I've seen this happen, whatever the case may be, and I don't know where it comes from, but it definitely feels like it comes from somewhere extra body,
Mm-hmm.
extra personal, outside of you, outside of me.
Right. I mean, it's all in a. It's not by mistake. Like that didn't just you didn't just completely like I've had that. Okay, so I had a dream when I was a kid. All right, and I know like some people are gonna be like, okay, yeah, whatever. No, no, for real. I had a dream when I was a kid, and I was living in Michigan. All right, and I
Yeah.
had a dream that I was in a classroom, and I didn't know any of these people. Right, a year later, we moved to Florida,
Yeah.
and it was those people in that classroom. You can't explain that stuff.
No,
That
absolutely not.
and I'm not saying like it wasn't like all of them perfectly right. It wasn't like I didn't know any of their names or didn't know them, and I didn't. It wasn't all of them perfectly, but certain people stood out,
Yeah.
right? Like I knew who that was. I'm like, dude, I know who you
Well,
are, and I've never met you before.
that's where you get into like different people have different energy is the new way to describe it. I'm attracted to people's energy. I'm connected to people through their energy. It's really through the spirit if you really think about it. It
Right.
is through spiritual discernment, and we're given spiritual discernment by God. Um Let's see. Real quick, I want to address. Jeff said that actually that's where I'm at. I have real bad anxiety and depression. I kind of self isolate. I get that. I've been there as far as like what Wick said a minute ago. I mean, I've been the guy who was doing unsavory things more often than not. And as a result, I also self isolated, and I get where you're coming from. One thing I will tell you, it's interesting. Self isolation is interesting. I actually watched a video last week. I shared it with Wick. I shared it with a couple of other friends of mine about self isolation and how we put
Oh, that is
ourselves
funny that that came
into.
up. That's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, that's
yeah,
interesting. I didn't even think
and,
about that.
and it's funny, really. I'll spare you the long story of it. I'll find the link to it in case you want to watch it. And I'll share it in the chat. But it's funny that you mentioned self isolation because uh really the gist of the video comes down to self isolation is often more often than not God preparing us for something.
Separating.
And
Yep.
I'm not telling you that you have to watch it. I'm not even like very firmly like digging into you saying, "Hey, go watch this." I'm just telling you that I watched it and it was profound enough that I I shared it with Wick and a couple of other people because the title of the video is literally learn why before God blesses you, he can isolate you.
Yeah.
Um so
Job was isolated for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you may be interested. Definitely if you are, the link is coming in the chat. Click on that and check it out. Um then Tater said, by the way, Cross is king. Cross is absolutely king. Happy Holy Week, everybody, by the way. The thing about that specific wick, I don't know if you know this. Apparently, it is anti-Semitic now to say that
Oh
Christ
boy.
is king, according
Yeah.
to Ben Shapiro. That's actually hilarious to
Well,
me.
well, it's kind of funny because isn't that Antichrist too?
Yeah, yeah.
So I
The
mean, you take
the
that however you
spirit of
want.
that
But
is anti-Christ.
if he's
Absolutely, and it.
if he's Jewish, wholeheartedly Jewish, like 100% Jewish, I mean, I kind of understand where he's coming from, right? Like, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. I get that. Like, so I kind of understand where he's coming from because he just doesn't know any better. If he,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So, not saying that we're
Well.
100% correct in the issue because, to be honest with you, this book was given to us for a guide, right?
Yeah.
On how to be good people, and how to take care of one another, and how to build good societies, and how to work under God and do God's will. If he's doing God's will and he doesn't like think like I do, I mean, who am I to say? Though he that is without sin cast the first stone,
Yeah.
my kind of thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, so it's a tough sell for me because I
Well.
am a believer in Christ and I believe that Christ is Lord. I get that, but I can't really throw stones at him either,
Well,
if
the
that makes
thing
any
is,
sense.
I've never been negative toward uh I've never been negative toward uh Ben Shapiro or the Daily Wire, but I mean honestly when it comes down to it, I'm very much going to side with Christ before I side with Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. And I'm sorry if you're looking at what was it? Jeremy Boring gives this ultra woke sounding like nonsense response to people asking how Christ is king is anti-Semitic, and he goes on to, it's anti-Semitic when you use it to hurt people. Yeah, but nobody's really using it to hurt him. Like, yes, some internet trolls put that at the end, but again, freedom of speech. What was it? What is the quote that Ben used? I saw Jeremy from the Quartering used it in his video about this, and it may actually be what Tater just posted. I haven't read that yet, but um, it was something along the lines of my free speech. Well, ultimately, my freedom of speech doesn't end where your feelings get hurt. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like at the
right.
at the end of the day, I have freedom of speech, regardless of whether or not you take what I say as offensive, regardless of whether or not you believe what I say. I still have the freedom and the
To say
right
it,
to say it.
absolutely.
Never like that. Jeremy calls himself the God King. I've always said that is a huge Trojan horse if you really believe in God. That right there is blasphemy. Wait, what are you talking about?
Calling himself a
Oh,
god king.
Jeremy Boring. Is that what you're talking about, Jeremy Boring? I can't get this to go away now. I got confused on Jeremy's because I was talking about Jeremy from the Quartering. Uh, does Jeremy Boring call himself the God King? That's kind of crazy because Jeremy Boring is a Christian. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people right now refer to themselves as gods. Have you played any gaming at all?
Oh,
like,
well, yeah. I
like
mean, I
they're
mean,
everywhere.
sure, sure. And here's the thing. I think there's a context that's like, because as a gamer and I play games that include gods and everything. I mean, shoot, like in college I went for my minor in religion, you know what I'm saying? Like I studied mythology primarily. I was a big fan of Greek, Norse and Roman mythology. Um and even in that, to me, there's the mythological sense of the lowercase g God versus like the actual reality of the uppercase G Yahweh God, um and absolutely, I'm not defending anybody who puts another God in the same realm as Yahweh God, but Um,
Everybody's taught different things. Some people don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, um, I feel like first, I feel like that right there, that whole twist on things, right? Like
yeah.
that is literally what pushes a lot of people away.
What do you mean? Like
Like the
learning
bickering
different beliefs
about that,
different.
no, the bickering about and between the religions, right? The bickering, I
Oh,
believe that
sure.
that actually leads to a lot of people pushing away from God. Like that oh, you guys can't even get along with each other, you know what I'm kind of thing, right? um and I I believe it's I believe it's something that can be, you can talk about the Bible and God and Jesus without invoking that stuff.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
you can there are ways to do it, you know, and a lot of it is just everyday stuff that has nothing to do with the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Like, um you know, I don't even want to bring this up, but the whole tree conversation, right, that we had back in the day, like literally, that's a stupid question, but it's relevant because of it. What it does is it changes your perspective on what you see, right,
Right.
and what you're told, and it, these people that are against any form of God creation type of thing, don't matter what group or sect you pick, right? Um, anybody that's against that will lie to make it less believable.
Right.
They will lie 100%. Now the thing which is why you will lead into a lot of weird conversations about truth and falsehoods. Like the things, the place, if y'all have never visited and watched, there's an amazing dude, the Holy Land site is an amazing YouTube channel. He does biblical teachings from where it happened.
Right.
It is amazing. He will literally sit in the ruins of the place that is where it happened. And when you start seeing those things line up, and then you start watching and how see how these evil people move, right? Because that's all it really is. It's just good and evil. It's just like uh Cat Williams said, right? You got the God side and you got the other side. And the God side don't really care much about the other side
Right.
because all of their lies will be exposed, right? It doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want, but eventually it's going to get exposed, right? So
Yeah.
you can say that that even though there's no no clear evidence of society being older than 5,784 years old, you can say that there is all you want, but there, at the end of the day, there is none. It's a lie.
Right.
There's no evidence. All there is bones and tests that a guy created. There's no documentation from human existence from when that happened. And if you are one of those people that believe that people are stupid back then, just go look at history. People were not stupid.
No, people were absolutely intelligent.
People people start learning the day you come out of the womb.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. You ain't gonna tell me that they didn't plant crops when they were
No.
cavemen, right? Unga bunga. That they didn't learn how to hunt and scale food and build shelter. You're not gonna tell me that they didn't learn those things. They learned. They
Right.
walked.
What up, Jason?
Dude,
No,
I've had
absolutely.
3 children and I've watched them. I will lay them in the middle of the floor and they will move.
Yes, they will.
They will move without your assistance. You do not have to pick them up and move them. They will move. And
Well,
eventually they will crawl.
appreciate me returning that call. Yes, yes. I got super busy after I finally got settled at home, and then Sierra's also sick, and so that was my bad, Jason. I was thinking about that literally while I was going live for the stream. I promise, promise, promise. Before I'm live again after this, I will call you back. Um, but no. 100%. I feel what you're saying about they will. I've literal videos of my daughter like when she was probably like 2 weeks old. Like literally, we would just lay her on her belly in the middle of the bed, just to see what she would do. And lo and behold, like she couldn't crawl yet, but somehow she found a way to like work her way over and around and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's
Dude, I had
insane.
I had my middle child, bro. Literally, this is crazy, right? Because usually you crawl, right? Then you walk.
Hmm.
My middle child literally would get up by herself from a laying down position, get up into all fours, and stand up
Yeah.
before she crawled, and just stand in the middle of the room, like not walk, not move, nothing. Stand there,
Well,
and then fall on her butt.
yeah. There's a thing I've heard people talk about their kids doing that before.
It's weird.
I've never been around a
It was
kid that
weird.
does that. It is out of order for sure.
It is, but when people try to tell me that people were unga bunga cavemen that could not farm for themselves and uh that did not have any kind of thought of learning, it's just stupid to me. There is no evidence anywhere that points to that being the case. None.
The points that, no, not in the time that people knew how to use tools. No,
None.
absolutely not. And that's the thing. Really, as long as people have known how to use tools, is how long we have record of humanity. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and they learned tools at the beginning. Like
Yeah.
they learned how to
Yeah.
write. Like I mean, I'm just saying, like they learned how to communicate and they learned how to write really quick.
Right.
It ain't like they were like, I mean, I remember when I was in middle school, maybe I was trying to make my own language. Did y'all
I
do that?
Yeah, I did.
I did it. I tried to make my own language with symbols and stuff. Yeah, I didn't get anywhere. It failed, but I still tried. Like,
I
like
I agree. I did the same thing. I like what Jeff said here too. Look at the pyramids. We still don't know how they built them or anything. It's still mind-boggling. Yes, there's so much like in the context of things like that. There's so many things. People were actually and that's where I always go back to maintain.
do you know
People
where
were
this is right
actually
now? Do
where
y'all know where this is right now?
I
This is
don't.
the Western Wall. So this is the ruins of the Western Wall, right? Like
Yeah,
this is okay. So there are literally there's a temple underneath the Western Wall, right?
yeah.
There's a temple underneath it, and it's got two stones. They are 10 meters long and 5 meters high.
So they're huge.
They are massive. Not only are they massive, they are cut with such precision that you can't even get a credit card between them.
See, and that's the thing. That and Jeff's point about the pyramids are things that I always go back to when I'm talking to people about the ancient world. They were so much more intelligent than we are now. We cannot replicate today what the ancient world did in so many different aspects, and yet we feel some kind of superiority. Where is the superiority? And that is also biblical, for the record, to keep this to the discussion that we're having. That is also biblical. We will never have more knowledge in this world than we have ever had. We will
No,
never have more in the world than we have ever had.
nope.
And you can literally see evidence of that throughout history. We look at these ancient civilizations, just like you're talking about with those stones, just like Jeff was talking about with the pyramids. We can't do that today, and we have the most technology and the most ability that we've ever had in history. Why can we not replicate things that were done thousands of years ago
With that precision.
with that precision?
With
We
that
can't
precision.
even
That precision is mind blowing.
Yeah, we can't even figure out in our heads how to move the stones that built the pyramids in the way that they would have moved them with the technology that we see that they had available.
Here's another silly question. Why are those ruins there? Do you see all the buildings all over the
Yeah,
place?
yeah,
They
absolutely.
just built over stuff, right?
Yeah,
They just build
built
over
over
stuff.
and around it, yeah.
That's what a tell is, right? If y'all don't know what a tell is, you got Tel Aviv, you got Tel Jericho, you got Tel. There's tells all over Israel, right? Well, what tells actually all over Middle East like that, but the tells are there's cities, and it's called a tell because it's like a cake, right?
Yeah.
So like you got the first people that lived there, and then another group came in and built on top of that, and then they built on top of that, and they built on top of that, and it creates these big mounds in the middle of the desert, and you can see them from miles away. Like, oh, that's a city, and like that's what they do, and that's still there. Like, why is that still there? Why is that empty there? And I know everybody's, oh, it's historical, right? It's historical, but it wasn't historical 1,000, 2,000 years ago. Why did nobody build on it? It's there for us to observe.
Yeah.
We're supposed to observe it.
It was
Like,
preserved.
look at that wall. Give me
Yeah.
a break, bro. Look at that thing.
Yeah.
You can't build that crap today. Look at those rocks on the bottom.
Yeah.
They're massive.
Absolutely.
They're massive, dude. Like, what? Like, how did they get there? Where did they come from? Like, these types of things. If people would just look outside the box, and instead of looking at religion or the bickering back and forth between Hamas and Israel, right? If they didn't look at the religion aspect of things and just looked at reality,
yeah,
that's it. That's it. Just open your eyes to reality. And that is literally what the Bible says. The Bible says, if you receive me, if you receive God's word, then I will open your eyes to reality, and I will open your ears to reality.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. Like, just opening your eyes to reality. What do you think the Matrix is? That is literally a real thing. NF talks about you're in a dream and you don't even know it. You don't even know you're sleeping. You are literally walking around sleeping.
What up, Buddha? Buddha
What up?
in the streets. How you doing, dog? No, to your point there, and to your point earlier, it's actually funny. So we were talking, and I know we've got about like 12 minutes because you've got some stuff going on outside of this you got to take care of. I got some stuff going on that I got to take care of too. I saw your channel. I think I'm already subscribed, Buddha. If you guys don't know, Buddha is going around the streets now, talking to people, asking them random questions, and all that stuff. He's having some fun out in the streets. If you guys haven't checked out Buddha Slim's new channel, you definitely should. But no, to those points before we wrap up, it's funny because I feel like it's important. You were talking about the attribution of gods outside of God, outside of Christ, outside of Christian doctrine. And when I kind of like thumbed over, I actually thumbed over to Exodus 32. And Exodus 32, for anyone who doesn't know, is when the golden calf comes into prominence in Israel.
We talked about that. We talked about that the other day.
Yeah, we talked about it the other day. We were actually talking about it a little bit earlier as well when we were talking about the propensity of people to kind of follow and attribute falsely godhood to non-God things, and it's funny because while we're going down how people get led astray, how people get kind of offshot, how people follow false doctrine and rabbit holes into places that aren't really relevant to the spirituality, to the spiritual aspect, to the God aspect. One thing that just stood out to me, and I'm not necessarily going to read from Exodus, but I am going to point out what stood out to me in that when I flipped to this, just kind of looking at it fresh, because it's been probably over a year since the last time I actually read in Exodus. Exodus 31 is God speaking to Moses. The whole
the tabernacle
area prior to this, is the tabernacle, is basically Moses being given God's commandment, okay? Being given the law. Literally, Moses is given the law from God. And then in Exodus 32, literally without a break, the next chapter, we go from 31:18, which says, "And he gave unto Moses when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, My bad.
Mhm.
2 tablets of testimony, tables of stone written with the finger of God. That is when
Mhm.
he's given the tabernacle the tablets. Literally, the next thing in the Bible is Exodus 32:1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off their golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Well, and
Literally,
they
as
haven't stopped, and they haven't stopped.
yeah,
Look at Egypt.
yeah.
Look at the
But
gods in Egypt. They are everywhere.
no, absolutely. But the funny thing to me that really stands out is that as soon as we are given truth, as soon as we are given guidance, as soon as we are given direct motive, missive, real instruction from God, what is the first thing that we tend to do? We tend to look for a way that we can fit it into our own lives, a way that we can make it fit our own narrative. We don't look for what is it that God's giving me? What is it that I'm actually supposed to be doing? We look for what is it that I can do? What is it that I can follow? What is it that I can cling on to? Literally, and it's perfectly illustrated right there in that the people are literally given the rules from God, by God, to Moses, to the people, and immediately they say, No, 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 no.
Bro, you're forgetting something too. This is literally after they were shown everything they were shown. After they were
Yeah,
guided out of the hand of Pharaoh,
yeah,
they were guided through the Red Sea, they were
yeah.
guided by a pillar of light, they were guided by a pillar of wind,
They were
and
sustained in the wilderness for
given
40
water,
years. Yep.
given food, they were shown everything, and they still said, "Nah,
Yeah.
man, like
Yeah.
I need to." And that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about with waking up, right? Like people, it happened to me so abruptly, right? Like randomly, I started going to church, and then within like a couple weeks, I went to the pastor and I was like, "Yo, I'm ready to be baptized. I don't know why, but I just want to be baptized." And he's like, "Okay, well, let's do it." And then I got baptized, and when I got baptized, boom! It was like everything just started just hitting hard. Like it was
Yeah.
nonstop, one thing after another, after another, after another. Now I don't know if you know this or not, but there was a time when I spent 18 months 18 months every day except for Saturday writing verses from the Bible in my Discord.
I did.
18 months straight. Now, that's not copy pasting. No, that's typing each individual verse out. And my life changed. And I don't know how else to put that other than my life changed. It changed so drastically. My eyes were open to so many things and everybody calls me crazy for it.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's because you're crazy, dog.
I know,
I mean,
right? I mean, for real. And it's fine, but then, they'll call me crazy and then, the next morning they're like, "Oh shit." That
yeah.
actually that's a thing. That's weird. Um
I like to think that Wick is quirky.
I'm something. See, this is what I like to watch. Rather than watching frickin' Roseanne Barr and frickin', Joy Behar or whatever the fuck. This is what I like to watch. I like to sit, read the word, and watch this shit. Like this amazes me. These buildings, the history,
Yeah.
the architecture, everything, the culture, it just amazes me. And this is funny. Think about that, Alpha. That's coming from somebody that went over there and fought
Yeah.
these people.
Well, it's that context is kind of interesting actually, because yesterday I commented on a video It was about the Daily Wire situation. It was on the Quarterings channel, and someone replied, and immediately, because I said I think that we're running out of time, someone replied and let me know that I'm a coward. Um, and I was like, no, I'm pretty far from a coward, you know. And then anyway, so they wanted to go back and forth and discuss kind of for a little while, and they ultimately landed at, I was used as a mercenary for Israel by my country. And I really put some thought into that. First of all, no, I wasn't. But I did put some thought into that, and it's an interesting concept, really, when you think about, like you said, someone who went over there and fought. Really, when we look spiritually, we have no real fealty to Israel. We don't. I mean, spiritually, we're definitely not nationally. Nationally, we're not Israeli citizens. Spiritually, I'm a Christian. Predominantly Israel is Jewish, and they reject my savior. They reject the key figure in my religion, and so it's not even spiritually, really spiritually. And so I've been thinking about this, really, totally in my heart and soul. The only fealty I have to Israel is the same that I have to anyone that I know who doesn't accept Christ, and that is that I'm praying for them, and I hope that they learn better. I have no ill will toward Israel. I think they absolutely have a right to exist. I think that it's rightful that they were given back the land that God promised to Abraham, but it just led a really interesting chain of thought for me, because I'm like,
Do you
beyond
can I,
praying for the people of Israel that they accept
do you know what
Christ,
that
I
is?
don't have a
Do you
lot.
do
What's
you
that?
guys know what that is? That bridge right there.
I don't.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but I know you're talking. We were talking about the conflicts between the religions, right?
Hmm.
So that right there is the only way that a non-religious person can get on the Temple Mount.
Oh, really?
Now, I don't know if y'all know anything about Israel, but it's split into four. You've got the Christian quarter, the Armenian quarter, the Muslim quarter, and the Jewish quarter. So they're all four split into four. And the only way that a Gentile can get on there is through that. Now, on the top, where the temple, where the original God temple was, is actually a mosque,
Yeah,
which
the
is actually
the dome on
mentioned
the rock.
in the
Yeah.
Bible. Yeah, it's actually mentioned in the Bible where the Jewish people will not be able to dwell in God's place. So they
Right.
can't. So they go to the wall and they worship at the wall, right?
Right.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I saw that bridge and it just made me think of that, and that is
No.
really interesting. Why is that like that? Think about that, man. People don't think, why is it like this?
Well, and that's one thing that's interesting to me, and I guess I'll kind of close on this point for the first week. Um, the one thing that always comes up is proof. How do you
Right.
prove? Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Well, a lot of proof is faith based. Obviously, if you're not open to my belief, you're not going to see the evidence of my belief. I mean, there's no way around that. But the uh the real interesting thing that kind of hits me is we see so much of the world right now. The Bible was written, most recently 2,000 years ago. The most recent parts were about 2,000 years ago. Yes, I realize, for anybody who's looking literally, it wasn't literally 2,000 years ago. And it's been translated and such, however you choose to take it. But the newest parts of the Bible have been around for roughly 2,000 years. In that time, if the powers that be could have, do you not think that they would have overridden the rules and the prophecies and everything that was written, that is still true and has come about and is still a guiding principle of the world that we live in today?
Bro, look at the size of those rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. If you believe that 100 slaves drug that across the desert, I'm sorry. I don't think that's what happened there. I'm sorry. I don't.
No.
I don't believe that. I believe that there was giants, like the Bible says, and they carried them.
Right.
That's my opinion. But you can
Well,
believe that 100 slaves drug it across the desert all you want, I guess.
Well, and the thing, and the thing is, like I said, and this is probably where I'll close, and then we'll say whatever closing pieces you might have for everybody. But I just when I look at all this and I think about the things, and I think about the opposition that the Bible gets, and that the Word of God gets, and so on and so forth. Do you not realize that in 2,000 years, if it could have been changed, if it could have been usurped, if it could have been overturned, if it could have been pushed down, dismissed, pushed away, what have you, we would not have the guiding principles, the rules, the observation that we have in the world today, because the world is not accepting of this. The world is very hostile toward most of these things. Why is it that these things are still equally the law, equally observable? It's like you were talking about, why are the ruins still there? Why are the ruins still there? Why do we still see those instead of tearing them down? I mean, that's good stone. I can't help but think that it could have been used in something else, or that could have been, a strong foundation for something else. And yet it's still there. Also, it's in one of the harshest climates in the world, and it hasn't eroded away.
Right? I mean, and that's God does not erode away. That's the thing. Now, uh there's the temple that I was talking about earlier. See that tunnel right there?
Yeah. Hmm.
That is literally where Jews go to pray. They can't go to the mount. They can't go on the mount where the
Right.
temple's supposed to be. So they go into that cave and they pray in there.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's the more that you see of these things, like these stones are just amazing to me. I cannot fathom or wrap my head around how many stones are there. It is
Yeah.
mind blowing
Oh
that
yeah.
that wall and how long that took to build. Like, and it was built 3 times. It
Yeah.
was built 3 times. Like, I mean, like you said, how can you this stuff right here is the stuff that's proof, right? People want tangible evidence, right? Or to be able to look and say, hey, that's God, right? But
Right.
you're never gonna get that. That's never gonna happen. This is the evidence. Oh, he's going in there. Oh, he's going in the temple, bro. You can see that rock. That rock is massive. But like, it's this is proof. People just don't want to see it. It's just proof. These stones, look how close those stones are together. This is before brick and mortar.
Right.
Like, give me a break. How do they get those stones so close together? Have you seen, okay, like when people lay bricks, right? Just these
Yeah.
little ones that are like this big. They're
Yeah.
like this big. Dude, they put them down and there is a gap like
Yeah.
that big in between each stone. All right, in between
Right.
each brick, up, down, all the way around. There's nobody that lays it like that because you can't, because nothing is level like that.
Right. Well, look at the
That's,
arches too. Look at how
dude,
smooth the arches are cut, you know?
it's amazing. Look at this tunnel. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, how? Give
Yeah.
me a break. Like, there's no, it's that is your proof. It's right in front of people's faces and they don't even see it.
Yeah.
They can't see the tree from the forest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they look at and they see all the trees together. They don't see the tree from the forest. And they'll look at this room and they'll think, "Wow, that's pretty cool." But then they don't look at it and actually. I used to build stuff. I was a carpenter, and I worked on things. And I mean, that no, bro, this stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
That they were doing this 3,000 years ago. Like, give me a break.
Right.
Anyway, that's my closing. I just think people should be a little more open. They say they're open, but people should be a little more open to understanding rather than
Absolutely.
rather than so quick to cast away. I
Absolutely.
guess is my, and like, just look around. The proof is all everywhere. It's all around you.
Absolutely.
The Jewish people that denied Christ are not allowed to go where their temple was. to this day, for 2,000 years,
Right.
they have not been allowed on that Temple Mount.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's definitely telling, and to everybody watching in the chat, this is something I think that we're gonna try to start doing weekly on
Oh, I would love
Wednesdays.
to. I would love to.
I think eventually, if you guys are interested, I think eventually we'd like to open it up, have it be a little bit longer, maybe pull some people up and stuff like that. Super relevant. Like I said, it's very purpose driven. So 1000%, if you are interested in joining, just understand like I don't necessarily want this to become like everything else that we do, where we
Like a debate.
necessarily go down, debate or rabbit holes or anything like that. We've still got Saturdays for debate, um this is more just kind of looking and seeking answers. But had a good time with this was the first of hopefully many. Appreciate you guys. If you would drop a like, leave a comment as well. I don't say that as often as I should, but definitely leave a comment so that
Oh, wow.
um this
Perfect
maybe
timing. It's
pops
ending,
in. Yeah, exactly.
culminating.
Um,
That's amazing.
but comments so that maybe somebody checks out the replay and comes and hangs out with us next week and all that. But appreciate everybody hanging out. You guys were super chatty about it, and so that makes me feel like you guys are interested in it. Shout out to everybody who popped in, stayed through, watching the replay in the future, high from the past, all that good stuff. But yeah, that's it. I'm really bad at closing streams, so
God bless y'all. You all have a great night.
absolutely.